truck. Oh, isn't he cute? And look at these muscles.
Get your hands off me. Who do you think you're talking to? I'm a police officer.
Oh, he gets so frisky when he sees a bad
Hey.
Hello?
What are you doing later on tonight?
Take a walk, you jerk.
Let's truck.
Why can't you look this good?
Mother Nature wasn't so kind to some of us.
I'm moving.
Oh, it touched me. I got my Christmas goose early.
Hello everybody, welcome back to Screenstars. Welcome to another of my misunderstood movie reviews. Today it is for the 1986 action comedy Armed and Dangerous, a film that is directed by Mark L. Lester and it stars John Candy, Eugene Levitt, Meg Ryan, Robert Loggia, Kenneth McMillan, Brian James, the legendary Brian James, and Jonathan Banks. Yes, Jonathan Banks from Breaking Bad. Now, this film, I was undecided what category to put this film in. Initially, my initial gut reaction was to do a classic film review for this film. And then after rewatching it and then looking into researching it a little bit more, I realised that this actually was certainly not a critical darling at the time of its release. And barely made its money back, its budget, I think of something like $15 million, and it barely made that back. So it is definitely not considered a hit film. It's definitely not even a film that many people mention when they talk about John Candy and his filmography. But I've got a real soft spot for this film. And for those of you who have never seen this film focuses on John Candy's character, Frank Dooley, and Eugene Levitt's character, Norman Kane, who become security guards. Now, the John Candy character, Frank, is an ex-cop who gets booted off the force as he gets framed by some crooked cops. So he ends up getting booted off the force and he signs up to become a security guard with Eugene Levitt, who's a former lawyer. They team up, they get sent on their first assignment, it gets robbed, they get fined, they decide to fight back and they uncover a conspiracy within this security firm that seemingly is being run by the mob. Right, so Armed and Dangerous then. Why do I like this film? Well, I think it's got an awful lot of charm and a lot of heart in it, this film. I think the two leads here, John Candy and Eugene Levitt, have got incredible chemistry. I mean, John Candy is just a surefire anyway. Any film that he generally touches, he's brilliant in it anyway. And this is no exception, but it's a slightly different role here for him. He's kind of playing the straight guy here, not like the comedy relief. I mean, he does have his moments here in this film, but he plays a little bit of an action hero, a bit of a tough guy in this film, which is unusual for John Candy. And it's the Eugene Levitt character that gets most of the like sidekick type laughs. He's like the comedy light relief here for the most part. But they work really, really well together. Now, Eugene Levitt, it seems, people seem to think that he only existed after American Pie. Well, he certainly didn't. Look back at some of the work he did earlier. This included, he's been in things like Splash, all sorts of things before he ever got anywhere near American Pie. It's been going a lot longer than people think. And even though my understanding is he wasn't overly overjoyed with the final cut of this film, my understanding is he was an executive producer and a part of the writing team as well. But he wanted his name taken off the credits in regards to writing and things like that. But they took him off as a producer, something like that. So he wasn't over keen on this film, which is clear. But I actually really like this film. It's got so many recognisable names in here as well. I mean, Meg Ryan. Why should we gloss over Meg Ryan? You know, she started making a big name for herself in the 80s, and this was one of her earliest appearances in a film. And while she doesn't offer an awful lot here, it's still a nice reminder as to the star power or the star quality that was coming our way with Meg Ryan, certainly. We've got other well-known faces here. Can you think of a better team-up of bad guys here than Brian James and Jonathan Banks? I mean, these guys were the guys to call when you were looking for a bad guy in the 80s. And they're actually teaming up here as bad guys in this film, both of them. And they, I mean, again, while they offer not a great deal to this film, it's just great seeing them do what they do and do it really, really well. Now, there are aspects of this film, obviously, that are quite dated. It's in the 80s. There are some things I'm not overly keen on here in this film. The soundtrack, the music is terrible. There's a scene with a shark where he's getting information from one of his snitches when he was a cop, and like a shark turns up while he's fishing, and it's this whole sequence of him trying to fish this shark and shoot at this shark, and it's like, what is this? You know, did they think this bit was going to be funny? And there's other aspects of the film that haven't dated particularly well. But what has dated well here, I think, is certainly the chemistry that we've got here between John Candy and Eugene Levitt that make this film so enjoyable to watch, so charming, and it does have some genuine laughs here. And the end sequence of this film, where they're trying to get away in this armoured truck, because the mob's going to rob it. It's got like $11 million in this armoured truck, and they're trying to keep it away from them. Eugene Levy and the Meg Ryan character. And John Candy is supposed to like save the day. The end sequence here is pretty good for a light action comedy in regards to the action that they deliver. Don't get me wrong, it's not Lethal Weapon quality or anything like that, but it delivers as an action comedy as well, this film, like I say, and John Candy makes a fairly convincing lead here in regards to being the tough guy, but he's also a guy that you can really relate to and really find a lot of charm in him. There are some really, really funny moments, you know, where the eavesdropping on the mob boss, played by Robert Loggia, and they're hiding in a steam room, and guess what? They turn the steam on. You get lots of funny moments like that. There's a great funny moment that probably, you know, the woke generation today wouldn't enjoy that much, where they both dress up in drag. Well, John Candy dresses up in drag. Eugene Levy dresses up in something a little bit more revealing, I suppose, certainly when he turns round. That is genuinely funny, and my understanding is that John Candy used that costume again in Who's Harry Crumb, or certainly something very, very similar. He was known for dressing up in drag in his Saturday Night Live days, apparently, so he tapped into it here as well. My understanding as well, from doing a little bit of research here, is this was originally going to be a vehicle for John Belushi and Dan Aykroyd until John Belushi's death, and then it was kind of battered about a bit. Tom Hanks was in the running for the Eugene Levy part, which would have been interesting because both him and John Candy worked together on Splash, so they obviously knew each other on a good working relationship. And believe it or not as well, I found this quite fascinating. John Carpenter was in the running to direct, but he turned the film down. How would this film have turned out with John Carpenter directing it? Who knows? We know from watching things like Big Trouble in Little China, he can perfectly blend comedy and action together. So it could have been quite a different film with John Carpenter on board. But I think this is a bit of a hidden gem from the 80s. Yeah, there are aspects of it that are dated, but there's aspects of it that I really enjoy as well. And it's one of those John Candy films that nobody talks about that is actually a pretty decent watch, and one you should certainly check out if you're a fan of 80s action comedies. So I'm going to give this one a 7.5 out of 10. Let me know in the comments what you think of Armed and Dangerous, and I'll see you back on the channel with plenty more reviews very, very soon.